Yeah, I met them coming in. Okay.
Oh, there it is. What's up, John?
You guys are live right now, so if you're talking.
Oh, God, I hope not. No, well, we got a good set when we knew somebody walked in the room.
Oh, this is
Is it the original? So. Beautiful picture in your mom's office. What a legacy to leave me. The microphone's on.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Hauk.
Here.
Councilman Pucciarelli.
Here.
Councilman Ritchie.
Here.
Councilwoman Walsh.
Here.
And Mayor Aronson.
Here. Please join us as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join us now in a moment of silence as we honor the American men and women serving in the armed forces, as well as those serving as first responders. Great, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. This is our reorganization meeting. This is a very special occasion, and I'm glad so many of you could be here. We're going to begin our meeting with an invocation from Rabbi David Fine, who is not only Rabbi at Temple Israel here in Ridgewood, but he also is the leader of the Interfaith Clergy Group here in Ridgewood. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Aronson, honored council members. When those reflect upon leadership, I think those of us in leadership understand that it is a call more often answered than sought. And I understand that from my reading of the Bible. The first great leader there is Moses. And the thing that's telling about Moses' biography is that he rejected the call several times. He argued with God. He said he had no credentials. He said he was a poor communicator. He said people would not believe him. And he still answered the call. And the people elected him. And then they complained to him. And they rebelled. They tried to stone him several times. And he persevered. And even at the end of his days, it says, the very end of the book of Deuteronomy, it says, after 120 years, his strength had not left him. And it teaches us that leadership is about service, and it's about the sacrifice of the self on behalf of the greater good of the many. So we pray that we be honest enough to recognize our transgressions, big enough to admit them, and strong enough to forsake them. Humble us by showing us what we are. Exalt us with a vision of what we may yet grow to be. United in holy partnership, may we labor for peace among all peoples and races, create joy within our homes, and find serenity within ourselves. Kindle within us the fires of faith, and set aglow our courage to live the words we pray. And let us say amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we will turn to comments from the public. Anyone have any comments, questions, thoughts they'd like to share with us, please step up to the podium. Good afternoon.
Hi.
We do have a 3-minute time limit per speaker.
Sure. So I have Lorraine Reynolds. Do you need my address?
Yes.
550 Windermere Avenue, Ridgewood. Hello, everyone. First First of all, actually, Bernie and Tom, I just want to thank you for the last 4 years. You've done a great job. We will miss you. I think you deserve a round of applause. Okay. I think it would be an understatement to say I'm sure it hasn't always been easy these last 4 years. Which brings me to my next point. The voters came out on May 13th and overwhelmingly voted for 2 candidates, Susan Knudsen and Michael Seaton. They are both intelligent and knowledgeable individuals and will bring much to the mix of this village council. We have an opportunity today to begin a new chapter in village council history, a chapter of working together, being collegial, and above all, respecting each other no matter what your views are. No 2 people have the same opinions, and that's what makes this country great. The last 2 years of village council history have had some very embarrassing moments for the village of Ridgewood. I'm not putting blame on anyone, but it's now time for the current council members to welcome in the newly elected members and show them the respect that they deserve. A show of good faith today would go a long way towards a good working environment over the next 2 years. Following Ridgewood tradition would be a giant step in that right direction. It has been the unwritten rule that the newest member of council with the most votes is offered the position of deputy mayor. This was followed 2 years ago when Mr. Pucciarelli became deputy mayor, and 2 years prior to that, Bernie Walsh declined the position and Tom Ritchie became deputy mayor, and it has been followed many, many times before that in the history of Ridgewood. It is now time to do what is right and give that honor to the newest incoming member with the most votes, Susan Knudsen. With Susan as deputy mayor, this council will have shown respect to the individual who has seemed to have received more votes than any other candidate in the history of Ridgewood. People saw a change in village leadership, and their voice was loud and clear. I urge the village council to please cast your vote for the people's choice, Susan Knudsen. And good luck to Susan and Mike over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Marcia Ringel, 250 Ferris Place, Ridgewood. This morning, the following letter signed by Princeton attorney Stuart J. Lieberman was emailed and faxed to the village clerk and village attorney with copies to the current village council. I'm going to read it into the record. If it takes more than a couple of minutes, I beg the council's forbearance because it contains information the community deserves to hear. Dear Ms. Melander and Mr. Rogers, I am writing to you on behalf of my client, Marcia Ringel, a resident of the village of Ridgewood, in reference to Ridgewood's village council reorganization meeting scheduled for today, July 1st at noon. I wish to share with you certain concerns regarding issues such as the proposed electronic remote participation of one of the governing body members who will be absent and the failure to provide public notice of a proposed continuance of this meeting beyond Tuesday of this week. As you are aware, Ridgewood Ordinance 3.6 requires that the municipal reorganization meeting take place at noon on the first day of July in each year in which new members have been elected to the council, as normally occurs in even-numbered years and duly occurred in May 2014. It is quite clear that the governing body has long anticipated that this year's meeting would take place exactly at the appointed time and date. In fact, the importance to the village of strict adherence to this long-standing ordinance and tradition was highlighted 2 months after the previous village council election in 2012 by the reorganizations having occurred on a Sunday. The occurrence and scheduling of this meeting and all its requisite and accompanying activities are not contingent upon the ability of all village council members to attend or participate, as the ordinance does not provide a contingency date, but rather gives the firm date of July 1st. It is therefore clear that a meeting to reorganize must take place on and only on that date. It is also clear from the ordinance that during this meeting a ballot must be taken by assembled council members, including those continuing their terms and those newly elected, to reflect a majority vote. According to Black's Law Dictionary, a ballot is a slip of paper containing the names of persons running for office and the positions available, on which each elector designates in handwriting his or her particular choice. I would note that in order for today's meeting to be legal, it must entail the use of paper ballots intended to remain unseen by onlookers when folded. Any email message, intercontinental communication via Skype, or other electronic communication, especially one reflecting preordained choices, see below, is not a ballot. Indeed, any email message or other document created and disseminated before the fact and listing preordained winners is nothing other than a ratification of a deal made in advance rather than the ballot stipulated by your ordinance. My client has been advised of a possible intent to cut today's meeting short in case of failed or interrupted electronic communications from an absent council member out of the country on vacation, and to continue the meeting later in the week so that she might attempt over and over again remotely to attend in 2 dimensions, although it looks like 1, rather than requisite 3, despite being on another continent. As you are aware, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, OPMA, requires that public meetings be advertised in at least 2 newspapers at least 48 hours before the meeting. We are told that no notice of continuance beyond July 1st has appeared in either the Record or Ridgewood News as a standard procedure by your office. Thus, any proposed continuance can in no event occur later than the announced and traditional date of July 1st, as this would violate the law. My client is concerned that the homepage of the municipal website has made no reference to today's reorganization meeting through at least 9 p.m. last night, although an announcement regarding the comparable reorganization of Ridgewood's planning board tonight has been posted there for some time. My client believes this lack and discrepancy may violate OPMA as well. Further, any failure to announce publicly the names of newly appointed planning board members, one of the last items on today's agenda, and therefore the most likely to be dropped if the meeting is not completed today, by this afternoon, would vitiate that important body's own reorganization meeting scheduled for some few hours later. My client is also concerned about any closed session meetings that have occurred in the past month or 2 for the purpose of dealing with personnel issues. In particular, my client is concerned about the legal validity of any such designated meetings which may have been attended by a quorum of the governing body, and that included, with intention to cast a vote for mayor and deputy mayor, the 2 council members elect who had not yet, and indeed still have not yet, been sworn in for such duties, yet whose true purpose was to discuss the reorganization and create wording for a script to be read aloud today, as in a play, such as Macbeth, during the public meeting on July 1st. It is beyond clear that any such meeting would have been illegal. My client seeks confirmation that no such meeting ever took place. If it did, we would like to know who participated, the substance of the participation, and whether or not issues related to the council reorganization were discussed and in fact decided. In conclusion, the ordinance in your municipality that describes council reorganization meetings is very clear. What is required is a public meeting so that paper ballots can be cast at that time by all available assembled in-person village council members on July 1st at 12 noon, utilizing paper ballots and nothing else. In case the supply in this room is insufficient, I have brought some paper. Furthermore, any such meeting must be duly advertised in accordance with OPMA, as has been the case for the originally planned meeting today, but not for any continuance. I would be happy to discuss these concerns with you should you have any questions. Please be advised that if any of these procedures is not adhered to, my client reserves the right to challenge such activities in the Superior Court. Very truly yours, Stuart J. Lieberman, Esquire.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Nizza, please. Good afternoon. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Good evening. I'm Dom Nizza, a temporary. I'll try to speak louder if I can. I've been a temporary resident in Ridgewood since 1948, so I've seen a few commissioners and council people come to these courtrooms. Forgive my singing voice, I've lost it, and my career as an attorney and lawyer have come to an end. I'll just very briefly just indicate I enjoyed coming to these meetings, and at one time I came to them more often. I come here out of respect and my appreciation to Michael Seaton, whose acquaintanceship developed with me when he helped me write my obituary. And we broke up laughing, but he has been my close friend in the politic area here in Ridgewood. So I wish all the new councilmen the best that they can have. It's a tremendous responsibility, and I recall the days of commissioners, and many personally, going way back here in Ridgewood. So I wish them my best, and certainly to those that serve. It's not so easy a task to accept a duty on the council and be assigned various other duties. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? All right, we will move on now. I'm going to do approval of minutes, and then we're going to have some remarks made. I move that the council minutes of July 1st, July 18th, August 21st, September 12th, September 17th, September 26th, October 2nd, October 10th, October 24th, November 1st, November 28th, December 12th, 2012, January 14th, January 16th, February 13th, February 26th, March 12th, March 13th, April 10th, May 8th, June 12th, June 19th, June 24th, July 17th, August 7th, September 18th, October 9th, November 13th, November 25th, December 2nd, December 11th, December 12th, 2013, and January 15th, January 22nd, January 23rd, January 24th, February 19th, March 12th, March 19th, March 21st, March 27th, April 2nd, April 7th, April 9th, April 16th, April 21st, April 23rd, May 7th, May 14th, May 21st, May 28th, May 30th, June 4th, June 8th, June 11th, June 13th, June 18th, and June 26th, 2014, having been reviewed by the council and now available in the village clerk's office, be approved as submitted. I'm not going to repeat that, by the way.
In seconding the motion, I want to point out that the minutes are always very, very thorough. We had all these minutes to review in the last few days, and it's a remarkable job that's done by Heather and her staff in producing these minutes. Rarely do they need correction. Anyway, it's a lot easier for us to review them than it is for the recorder to take the minutes and then render with such accuracy the proceedings. So I proudly second that motion.
Hauk?
Yes.
Cucciarelli?
Yes.
Ritchie?
Yes.
Walsh? Yes. And Aronson?
Yes. Now we're going to have some remarks by myself, Deputy Mayor, and Councilwoman Hauk about Councilwoman Walsh and Councilman Ritchie before their departure. We can start with you, Albert.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I want to offer my best wishes to Bernie and Tom. I have known them for many years and had the privilege of serving with them in other capacities, for example, on the planning board. We have disagreed on some issues, but I've welcomed the debate, and frankly, I think so should the citizens of Ridgewood. I don't think it's good for you to look for a 5-0 vote on every occasion. That would suggest to me the issues are easy, and they are not easy. When there is a 3-2 vote or a 4-1 vote, the suggestion is that the issue was debated, somebody disagreed, and where intelligent people disagree, I suggest that progress is being made. And very often the compromise that comes out of that is better than any 5-0 vote, sometimes done in a cursory manner, could ever produce. So I hope we all welcome debate. We've had some vigorous debate, and I think it's been a good thing, and I look back on it fondly. I am grateful to them as a citizen of Ridgewood. I think they gave of their time and talent very generously, and they deserve the gratitude of everybody in this community. So thank you, Bernie, and thank you, Tom.
Great. Thank you, Albert. Gwen? Gwen?
Go. Say it one more time.
Gwen?
Okay, great. Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
It's a great privilege to be able to join my colleagues and the residents of Ridgewood participating in a miraculous way via computer and video feed from the continent of Africa. I wish I could be there. I really do. Tom and Bernie, I wish that I could be there in person to bid you farewell and thank you for your service over the last 4 years. I have enjoyed getting to know you, and I will miss sitting with you on the dais and in the chambers. 2 years ago, I remember my first reorg meeting where I was a freshman councilwoman, and I looked to the two of you for guidance and support. Everything was new to me. I can tell you from where I stand now that you, the two senior members, had a huge influence on me, as you strongly formed the personality of the group that I became a part of. So it is up to the two senior members, or it's up to all the senior members, to share and impart their knowledge and experience, and to mentor and teach younger members, and make every effort to facilitate good communication. This is for the sake of the entire village. I've learned that the ultimate goal of any council's experience is to form a working team, to embrace each individual as part of a team that will bring balance, uniqueness, and energy to the whole. Never to block anyone out for being different or for thinking differently, for a blend of personality brings balanced perspective and better leadership to the village. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Tom, for everything you gave. And, by the way, welcome to our two new members, Susan and Mike.
Great. Thank you very much, Gwen. And I, too, would like to add my voice to Albert's and Gwen's and thank both you, Bernie and Tom, for your service. You know, I've had the opportunity to actually serve with you for 4 years, and it's amazing. I was thinking back, you know, on the one hand, 4 years doesn't seem like that long of a period of time, but if you think back to all of the issues, all of the votes, all of the people we've worked with over the last 4 years, it's pretty remarkable. And, you know, again, sort of to Albert's point, you know, the truth is, more often than not, we agreed on the issues. I mean, if you look at our consent agendas, if you look at, but, you know, people like to focus on where we're different. And the truth is, you know, there were differences of opinion on some of the bigger issues, and that's a good thing. And sometimes one or more of, you know, one of you was on the losing end of a vote. I know our first 2 years on the council together, I was more often than not on the losing end of a vote. And that's okay. And it's great that we could, you know, bring to each issue, you know, our particular perspectives, our values, our integrity. You know, you bring that to the discussion, and then the important thing is that you move on. And whether you agree with the outcome or not, you move on, because we have a lot of issues, and that's what we've been able to do. And I really want to thank you for that. It's really important to me personally. It's important to our community. And I also want to thank you not just for your service on the council. A lot of people know you because of, you know, the work you do here. But, you know, you both serve the community in other ways. Tom through EMS, Bernie through Girl Scouts, and I'm sure there's many other ways. And I just want to thank you for that. And while we're losing you as council colleagues, I know you're still going to be very involved in the community, and I appreciate that. So thank you. And with that, I'll turn the microphone over to Councilwoman Walsh.
Thank you. It's with mixed emotions that I sit here before you this afternoon as I prepare to leave the dais from my seat as councilwoman. The opportunity bestowed upon me by the residents of Ridgewood 4 years ago today has been one of the most rewarding of my life. I couldn't have imagined the bounty of friends and colleagues I would be blessed with as a result of being elected. Every step of the way, I was meeting new people with great ideas, different perspectives, passions, and innovation. I love hearing the phrase, "What the council needs to do is blank," a reflection that people are engaged in their community, being a participant, and not being a bystander. Honing my skills as a listener, no matter what the thought or idea, has been very important to me. Isn't that what being a council member is all about? Listening to the residents and having thoughtful, honest, and constructive conversation. I have enormous respect and thanks to all the members of the public who served on committees with me over the past 4 years. Resident volunteers who give of their time freely so that we can all have a better Ridgewood. Thank you as well to all of the employees of the village for their friendly demeanor and outstanding work. Thank you to Matt, Roberta, and Donna Jackson, who helped keep the council running like a well-oiled machine. Heather Maylander. I'm sure most of you know that behind the scenes, Heather is what keeps this council clock ticking. Without her knowledge, skill, professionalism, and care for the village of Ridgewood, these meetings wouldn't take place. I value our friendship and wish her and her family nothing but the best. 4 years ago, I stood beside Tom Ritchie downstairs in the senior center as council member-elect. We didn't know each other than to say hello. What I've come to find out in the past 4 years is that we have much in common. An appreciation for the classics, like Volkswagen Beetles. A meant-for-television version of what it was like to attend Catholic school. An affinity for the cheesy sticks at Park West Tavern. And the ability to let things roll off our backs. I admire his tenacity, work ethic, kind heart, and strong moral compass. You can be sure that he and I, along with our pals, former Mayor Killian and former Councilman Wellinghorst, will be meeting at the Treat to discuss Ridgewood politics for years to come. I'm proud to call him a friend. Mayor Aronson and Council Members Pucciarelli and Houck, I wish you well as you continue on as council members. They say you don't know someone until you walk a mile in their shoes. Strangely, a mile for the mayor put me at Sook. For Albert, the Lincoln Park Airport, and for Gwen, the Senior Center. Not really, but you guys all get the idea. I know that you all have Ridgewood in your heart and will do everything you can to make it better. Please embrace these two new council members, Susan Knudsen and Mike Seaton, and work together on a path of improvement and prosperity for Ridgewood. I want to especially thank my husband, Mike, and my 3 children, Gavin, Celeste, and Emmett, who I thought would be watching for me, but I don't think the cameras are on. They're on vacation, but they understood my commitment to the village of Ridgewood and know that I needed to be here today. I love them all and thank them for continuing with me on this journey. I'm proud of the body of work I've completed while on the council here in Ridgewood, and I hope I can count on all of you for your support as I plan to continue to advocate for the village of Ridgewood and the other 69 municipalities in Bergen County as a freeholder. Thank you.
Councilman Ritchie.
Okay, thank you. So let me tell you a little story about Bernie. When I first met Bernie and when you first get elected, what you find is that a lot of the village staff want to get to you as quick as they can because they've got something they want to tell you about. And Bernie told me this story that she got a phone call from a couple of guys in the fire department when she first got elected. And Bernie came from a family of firemen, and she says, I'm not sure what they want, but I know all about firemen. She says, they want to give me a tour of the firehouse, and they want to talk about a few things that they have on their mind. And she said, I wonder if I'll get the little red plastic hat when I'm done with the tour. And I said, I like this woman. I like this woman a lot because she was strong and she knew what had to be done. It has been such a pleasure to serve with Bernadette Walsh, Bernie as we refer to her. Often when we'd all get up to about 100 miles an hour and at 30,000 feet, we'd call each other and talk ourselves down off the ledge. And what was best about Bernie in every circumstance was that she was always thoughtful in her process in terms of where her decision-making was going to be. I would often try to convince her to go my way on a certain issue, and she would say, I respectfully agree with you, but I'm going to vote the other way. And that was always the best thing about Bernie, is that she had her own opinion and she stuck by it, but it was always about doing the best for the citizens and the residents of the village of Ridgewood. So again, thank you for your friendship. It's been a great couple of years. Thank you. Now to move on. I would also like to wish Susan and Mike all the best as they begin their term. You will find the endeavor at times rewarding and often tedious and burdensome. Seek your place in the fray where you can have the most impact. I want to specifically thank the many village employees and volunteers for their efforts and kindness. Roberta, thank you. I think you're doing a terrific job so far. Matt, thank you for your guidance all along the way. Most of all, I want to express my sincerest thanks to Heather for her friendship over the many years. Heather, thank you. You make it all happen. We've had many, many conversations. We'll continue to have them in the future. Also to Bernie, Keith, and Steve for their friendship and for the many accomplishments that we fostered together. As I depart, having served as your deputy mayor and councilman, my thoughts are of a Ridgewood in better times. A Ridgewood that once was kinder, a Ridgewood that once was less about the me and more about the we. A Ridgewood where politics was something that we read about in Washington. A Ridgewood where a difference of opinion was met with cordiality and respect. A Ridgewood where self-interest was set aside for the common good of all. Simply put, a Ridgewood in better times. I wish that I could be more optimistic about a future Ridgewood, a future more respectful of one another, but unfortunately I am not. I am saddened by the prospects of a kinder and more respectful Ridgewood of tomorrow. I am heartened, though, however, by knowing that I made a difference and never once compromised on the values that John and Margaret Ritchie instilled in me. In the end, we're all judged by a higher power. Fill your suitcase today with kindness and respect for others. You will be packed full wherever life's journey takes you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the reading of Certificate of Election of Susan Knutson by the village clerk.
Certificate of Election. I hereby certify that Susan Knutson was elected to the Village Council at the municipal election held on May 13th, 2014 for a 4-year term beginning on July 1st, 2014 and ending on July 1st, 2018. At this time, I'm honored to administer the oath of office to Councilwoman Knutson.
You're going to take the whole first 2 rows.
So raise your right hand. Okay. Just repeat after me. I, Susan Knutson.
I, Susan Knutson.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly.
And I will faithfully, impartially, and justly.
Perform all of the duties of the office of Councilwoman.
perform all of the duties of the office of councilwoman
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. I'm here. Bernie has this seat up so high. I'd like to first take this opportunity to thank everyone for being here today. My husband, John, my parents, my 3 sons, Dane, Zach, and Jack, and the rest of my family here today. Friends, supporters, and everybody watching at home. I would also like to thank Heather and the village staff. Heather for just doing so much and being so welcoming, for all of her hard work and effort in making today such a very special day. I'd like to thank Rabbi Fine for a beautiful invocation. And as for Tom and Bernie, I too would like to thank you for your years of dedicated service to our community. You will be much missed. Tom, I listened to what you just said, and I took your words to heart. And I know your suitcase is packed, filled with kindness. So is mine. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Aronson, Deputy Mayor Albert Pucciarelli, Councilwoman Gwen Houck, is she there? I look forward to serving with this new leadership team. I look forward to serving my community, the village of Ridgewood, in an open and effective government to benefit us all for the future of Ridgewood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Now we'll have the reading of certificate of election of Michael A. Seaton by the village clerk.
I hereby certify that Michael A. Seaton was elected to the Village Council at the municipal election held on May 13, 2014, for a 4-year term beginning on July 1, 2014, and ending on July 1, 2018. I'll now administer the oath of office. My pleasure.
Can Hunter see what's going on? Sleeping. Shh.
Repeat after me. I, Michael A. Seaton,
I, Michael A. Seaton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all of the duties of the office of councilman
all of the duties of the office of councilman
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
right, Councilman Seaton, floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to start by thanking my family for their support, which I would not be sitting here without, and the support of many of my friends and village residents, some of which who are here. Thank you for attending. And I'd like to say during the campaign, I've met many village residents, and I've heard a wide variety of issues across the village. And I'm excited to be given the opportunity to serve as your representative and add my voice to guide Ridgewood to a better future and to maintain this town and keep it not quite exactly the same, but make sure that we go together into the future in a logical and reasonable manner. There's discussions, there's big decisions that we have to make, and I am excited to have the opportunity again to be able to add my voice. I look towards the future as a newer village resident of only 4 years, but my newborn son sitting here in attendance is going to help me guide the village to a proper future. And again, thank you for everyone who supported me, and I'm very, very much looking forward to getting started. I'd also like to thank Bernie and Tom for their service, and I'd like to thank my new colleagues for their time and putting in the many, many hours that it takes to keep this town going and keep this council moving forward. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
I will now call the roll of the new village council. Councilman Aronson.
Here.
Councilwoman Hauk.
Here.
Councilwoman Newton.
Here.
Councilman Pucciarelli.
Here.
And Councilman Seaton.
Here.
At this time, I would like to call for the nominations for the title of Mayor of the Village of Ridgewood.
I move the nomination of Councilman Paul Aronson as mayor of the village for a 2-year term commencing July 2013.
We'll have to have it done again, I guess.
Say it one more time.
I move the nomination of Paul Aronson as mayor of the village of Ridgewood for a 2-year term commencing July 2013.
Second the motion.
I would like to object to these proceedings. It seems there's a resident who read a legal opinion into the microphone that was not addressed, and I'd really like to have that addressed, because it seemed she went so far as to hire a lawyer and have an opinion rendered, and nobody really acknowledged that. And that's the first basis. And my second basis is I was not really involved in the decision-making of who would be mayor or deputy mayor. It seems that decision was made a long time before I even picked up a nomination packet, so I cannot rubber stamp something that I was not privy to, and I would really like that letter addressed.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we have Matt, if you could sort of address some of the key legal points in the letter, and then I think we should move forward with the vote.
All right. I did receive this letter this morning at about 9:30, which was faxed to my office. Actually, I'm thankful. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I'm thankful that I got it, because it brought up a couple of issues that I think the public may have questions about and need to be addressed. The first one that was brought up, I think, was the issue of the ballot and whether or not there is a need for a paper ballot. I think there's a couple of reasons why that question can be answered very, very directly, which is that a paper ballot is not needed. We do have an ordinance in our town, Section 3-14, which says that when the roll is called, referring to councilpersons, when the roll is called upon any question, Each council person shall audibly announce their vote. That's the first reason. So I think it's pretty clear from there that when they refer to ballot, which ballot can have a number of different meanings, one of which is a round of votes or a particular type of vote, that adjective paper that is used by the attorney in his letter really is more descriptive than what our ordinance has ever intended and ever wanted to use, because we are very specific in our ordinance with regard to the fact that the roll call has to be audible. Secondly, that question for a paper ballot should fail because of the Open Public Meetings Act. We've heard oftentimes about the spirit of the Open Public Meetings Act. Having a paper ballot really does not allow for the exposure of the votes of the individual council members and what that means. I think the intent here, not only coupled with the ordinance that we have, but also the intent of the Open Public Meetings Act, really calls for a verbal vote so that the public can see and be aware of what the vote is and who is voting for whom. The next issue that was brought up, there are a number of issues that were brought up with regard to the notification for the meetings. I had a discussion with Heather earlier this morning, and we went through it. I feel very certain that the publication that was made for this meeting and the announcements for it were very clear and satisfied the Open Public Meetings Act requirements. There are issues brought up with regard to the, if the electronic connection with Gwen Hauk failed, what would happen with a subsequent meeting. So far, that hasn't really been an issue, and we don't have to go there at this point in time. One of the, one of the other issues with the issue of electronic connection for Gwen wasn't even raised in that letter, and there's also a question with regard to, I guess, additional meetings that may have taken place with regard to discussions in anticipation of the reorganization meeting. I'm not aware of the meetings. I wasn't involved in any. I haven't been asked to attend any of those meetings, so I can't speak to those. But Open Public Meetings Act requires that a meeting of more than a majority or a quorum of the council members, if their intent is to take some particular action at that time, not in the future, but take some action at that time, there's a required notice and announcement with regard to that publication and agenda. I'm not aware that that ever took place. I can't speak to it, but certainly no action was ever taken at any of those meetings. So if there was action that was taken at those meetings, any action that was taken would probably have been void. But no formal action was taken, no votes were taken, so I can't speak to anything other than the fact that what the Open Public Meetings Act requires, and if it requires action to be taken and there isn't any evidence of action to be taken, then there's nothing to be done with that. So in response to that letter, that would be, I think, the legal guidance that we need at this point.
Great, thank you, Matt. Heather, is there anything you want to add? Or?
Well, as far as this meeting, it's in the annual notice of meetings. And then also those other meetings were also noticed, and they were noticed as closed session meetings. So they were properly noticed.
Can I ask? Matt, I'd like to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
Relative to the the ordinance that you read, just from my own informational purposes, did you say 3-14?
Yes, 3-14.
Would you be good enough to read that in its entirety, just so in context?
Okay. The title of 3-14 is voting. Section A reads as follows. The vote upon every ordinance shall be taken by roll call, and the yeas and nays shall be entered on the minutes. The minutes of each meeting shall be signed by the officer presiding at such meetings and by the clerk. Section B, and this is the one I was pointing to. When the roll is called upon any question, each councilman shall audibly announce his vote, and the silence of any councilman shall constitute an affirmative vote unless he states that he abstains. So that would be the full reading of that section.
Okay. And then would you be good enough to read the ordinance, whatever it is that is being called into question in the letter again.
I don't know that he called a particular ordinance into question. The only one that he identifies in the letter, I think, is the section 3-6, which talks about reorganization and the and is the one that is entitled Mayor, Deputy Mayor, President Pro Tempore.
Could you just read that one? I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not sure what we're
Well, it's
referring
rather
to.
long, but I'll read
Sorry.
it. At 12 noon on the first day of July following each election of councilmen, the council shall assemble at Village Hall, organize and elect one of the councilmen as mayor. The mayor shall be chosen by ballot by majority of all members of the council. If the members shall be unable within 5 ballots to be taken within 2 days of the organization meeting to elect a mayor, then the member who is in the last election for members of the municipal council who received the greatest number of votes shall be mayor. Should such person decline to accept the office, then the person receiving the next highest vote shall be the mayor, and so on until the office is filled. At the same time that the mayor is elected, the council shall elect one of its members as deputy mayor. The deputy mayor shall serve in place of the mayor in the event of temporary absence or disability of the mayor. The council shall elect the president pro tem in the event of the absence or disability of both the mayor and the deputy mayor. Vacancies in the office of mayor or deputy mayor shall be filled by the council for the remainder of the unexpired term. The mayor or other presiding officer shall preside at all meetings of the council and of the committee of the whole and have a voice and vote in its proceedings, appoint such special committees of the council as may be required, state the question and announce the result on all matters upon which the council may vote, rule on all questions of order subject to appeal of the council, sign all ordinances and resolutions adopted in his presence, have such other functions, powers, and duties as the charter or the council, subject to the charter, may from time to time prescribe.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that when we're proceeding with this, that I'm doing everything to the letter of the law as the ordinance is written. So in your opinion, there would be no reason, there are 2 separate ordinances that seem to contradict one another. However, is it possible that that ordinance that you just read, 3-6, is very specific to procedural matters occurring at this reorganization meeting, distinguishing it from the reading of ordinances and roll call votes on general questions of policy and procedure? So in other words, is this ordinance very specific to this reorganization meeting?
Well, there are parts of it that are very specific to the reorganization meeting, saying that it has to be done starting at 12 noon on July 1st, all right? And then it also gives specific things if there is a vote taken and there can't be, and a decision for mayor is not made after 5 sets of votes, 5 ballots as they call it, what's to be done then and what happens. So it is specific.
So all of that portions that you just read, and actually I think the email you referred to specifically about all members taking a vote, etc., all those other parts would be very specific to today, but you would say that the ballot portion of that is not specific to today.
Well, what happens is that, I don't think any of us were here when that ordinance was adopted. Not that we weren't here, but we weren't part of the council, or I certainly wasn't the attorney. So with any type of legislation, you always have to look at the clear meaning of the legislation. So you look to other things that deal with, how to interpret anything that's in there. There is wording in that ordinance in 3-6 that says certain things and speaks to certain things. There are some contradictions, not contradictions, but some items that may be unclear, but if you give me the things that you want me to particularly focus on, I can tell you whether they're specific or whether you have to look elsewhere for meaning or what you have to do. So maybe that's the easiest way. I just can't, it's hard to say that it's specific in certain places, but not without identifying which ones it is and isn't.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I just wanted to have those addressed since one of our residents went so far as to get an opinion.
That's fine.
Thank you.
So I had a motion and a second for the nomination of Councilman Paul Aronson as mayor.
I didn't hear the motion.
Okay, well, Mr.
I
Rogers,
actually
should we try
didn't hear the
again?
motion either.
Well, I think some people are saying they had an audible problem with hearing the motion, so why don't we see if we can get the motion
Okay.
made again?
Okay,
Want me to read it again?
yes.
Okay. Should I read it slower?
Yes.
At this time, I would like to call
Yeah, next one.
for the nomination. Oh, no, that's others. Okay, good. All right, I'm starting up. I move the nomination of Councilman Paul Aronson as mayor of the village of Ridgewood for a 2-year term commencing July 1st, 2014.
Okay.
Certainly heard that, and I heard it the first time. I second that motion.
Okay. So I need a roll call vote just on the nomination itself, and then we can accept other nominations after that if that's the case. So this is just to move and second that nomination, not the actual vote for mayor. So, Aronson,
Yes.
Hauk,
Yes.
Newton,
I'm concerned about the discrepancy in the ordinance, so I'm going to vote no.
okay. Pucciarelli,
I defer to our counsel on the question of the ordinance. Yes.
okay, and Seaton.
No.
Okay. So, are there any other nominations for the office of mayor? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the nominations for mayor?
I move the nominations for mayor be closed.
Could I have a
Second?
Thank you. This is again to close the nominations. Aronson,
Yes.
Hauk,
Yes.
Newton,
No.
Pucciarelli,
Yes.
and Seaton.
No.
Okay. There will now be a roll call vote on the nomination of Paul Aronson as mayor of the Village of Ridgewood for a 2-year term commencing July 1st, 2014. Aronson,
Yes.
Hauk,
Yes.
Newton,
Again, I'm concerned with the ordinance, and I'm going to actually abstain.
abstain, okay. Pucciarelli,
Yes.
and Seaton.
No.
Okay, the ayes do have it, and so it does carry. So at this time, I'd like to administer the oath of office to Mayor Aronson.
If you don't think it's a boss,
Oh, my God.
what is it? Is it good government? You folks should get up and leave also.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Paul S. Aronson,
I, Paul S. Aronson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all of the duties of the office of mayor
all of the duties of the office of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, at this time, I would like to call for the nominations for the title of Deputy Mayor of the Village of Ridgewood.
Wait, I'm looking for it. I move the nomination of Councilman Albert Pucciarelli as Deputy Mayor of the Village of Ridgewood for a 2-year term, commencing July 1st, 2014.
I second the motion.
Okay. How,
Yes.
again, for the second of that motion. Newton,
Abstain.
Pucciarelli,
Yes.
Seaton,
No.
and Aronson.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the position of Deputy Mayor?
I move the nominations for Deputy Mayors be closed.
You have a second? Can someone second that?
Second.
Second.
Okay. How, this is
Yes.
close the nominations. Newton,
Abstain.
Pucciarelli,
Yes.
Seaton,
No.
and Aronson.
Yes.
There will now be a roll call vote on the nomination of Albert Pucciarelli as Deputy Mayor of the Village of Ridgewood for a 2-year term commencing July 1st, 2014. Hauk,
Yes.
Newton,
Abstain.
Pucciarelli,
Yes.
Seaton,
No.
and Aronson.
Yes.
It's now my privilege to administer the oath of office as Deputy Mayor. On the Bible, raise your right hand. Right hand, right. I, Albert J. Pucciarelli,
I, Albert J. Pucciarelli,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all of the duties of the office of Deputy Mayor
all of the duties of the office of Deputy Mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
And now we'll have remarks from Deputy Mayor Pucciarelli.
Thank you. Before I comment on the office of Deputy Mayor, I've been on the zoning board and planning board in this town for just under 24 years. And as we've heard about the office of Deputy Mayor, for all the authority that it has and really doesn't have, I'll talk about that in a moment, I am pleased that we will shortly be nominating and perhaps voting for Susan Knudsen to take my place on the planning board. If there is a position in this town, particularly in these days, that is of import, where somebody can make a difference, it is surely on the planning board. I have absolutely enjoyed thoroughly, and I think I certainly know I brought a lot of energy and time, and I hope I brought some good thought to the process of being on those two boards in the 20-something years that I've done it. It has been a privilege to serve with those good people, and I've seen a lot of people come and go in those years, and I've seen developments approved and many disapproved. I actually began my career on the zoning board by opposing a development of a condominium complex that was proposed on Maple Avenue. So for those of my detractors who think I never saw a development I didn't like, that was one I didn't like, and there were many others in the time frame. But hey, don't let the facts get in the way of a good slander. So anyway, I am with great pride going to turn over, step back from the planning board, and I know Susan will bring a lot of energy and a new vision to that board. As for the office of Deputy Mayor, I'm thoroughly honored and pleased to continue to serve as Deputy Mayor. While the position has no obvious authority except to serve when the mayor is not chairing the meeting, and that happened once in 2 years, I see it as important in two major respects. I have a very good working relationship with my friend, Paul Aronson, and I am proud to call him a friend. We generally share a common vision, but we don't always agree on details. I'm proud of the past council's accomplishments, and I intend to work for the second half of my 4-year tenure to see some of the unfinished business brought to fruition. There have been accomplishments of which I am particularly proud, and I'm not going to list them, and I do look at Roberta Sonnenfeld as I say that as one about which I'm particularly proud, having found and hired a new village manager. One of the great privileges of being deputy mayor is that you have the privilege to perform weddings. And I did one here last Friday. I don't take it lightly. As you know, marriage is an honorable state, not to be entered into lightly. And if there is anything about the office of deputy mayor that is powerful and does have authority and is immensely important, surely that is it. So I am grateful to the people of Ridgewood and to my colleagues who voted for me for giving me the opportunity to continue to serve as deputy mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues. Those of you who actually know me know I actually love this stuff. I love being on the council. I love being mayor. It's a wonderful community, and it's been an honor and a privilege. It's been exciting. You know, people throughout my 6 years on the council have come up to me periodically and say, you know, that it's a thankless job. And I'm quick to point out to them nothing could be further from the truth. It's definitely challenging at times. But it is, by far and large, it's very rewarding. And I say that because a lot of times people just see what happens in this chamber here. You know, we meet on Wednesday nights, and we vote on issues, we discuss issues, we engage the public, and it's very important. But this is a little piece of what we do as council members. Again, what we do here on a Wednesday night is important, but it's really, you know, a lot of the work takes place actually before we get here, when we're working with residents, the village manager, her professional staff, to try to get an issue ready for discussion, to get an issue ready for council action. And a lot of what we do also doesn't, you know, we do the ribbon cuttings with the big scissors for the Chamber of Commerce, and that's exciting. But a lot of the work we do actually is with that business owner before, during, and after they open, to try to help navigate the permitting process. We work with students. I get to go to classrooms and read to kids and talk and answer their questions and invite them here. But it's also the work we do with the Board of Ed and with the Superintendent of Schools to try to really deal with the issues that are affecting families here in Ridgewood. You know, and similarly, you know, we go to block parties, we go to social events, we try to make ourselves available to the public at large. But a lot of the work we do is actually when we go house by house, meet neighbor by neighbor, talk to them about the road condition in front of their house, talk to them when a utility company wants to put a big pole up in front of their house, or after a bad storm like Superstorm Sandy, walking through the neighborhoods and trying to help people sort of, you know, work through the issues. That's what we do. And sometimes it is challenging, it's a lot, but it's so, so rewarding. And I couldn't be more grateful for this opportunity that I've had over the last couple of years and the opportunity to continue serving over the next 2 years. To Albert's point, you know, I think we've accomplished a great deal. We've done a lot in terms of budget reform, in terms of management reform. You know, we look to our new sheriff in town, you know, and a lot on her plate. It's the work we do, it's a labor of love, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to continue doing it. So thank you very much. And with that, we will now move forward with the introduction of ordinances. I move the first reading of ordinance 3421.
May I have a second?
Second.
Hauk?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Cucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Arrington.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3421 by title?
A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $1,356,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,290,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
I move the ordinance 3421 be adopted on first reading and that July 16, 2014 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Hauk?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Pucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Aronson.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3422.
May I have a second?
Second.
Hauk?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Pucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Aronson.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3422 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 18 of the Ridgewood Village Code Environmental Advisory Committee at Section 18-4C relating to the chairperson of the committee.
I move that ordinance 3422 be adopted on first reading and that July 16, 2014 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Hauk?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Pucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Aronson.
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 14-159 through 14-174, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Appoint village attorney, appoint village labor attorney, appoint village bond attorney, appoint municipal court judge, appoint village prosecutor, appoint public defender, appoint community development representative, appoint alternate member to the Historic Preservation Commission, appoint members to the Community Center Advisory Board, appoint members to the Financial Advisory Committee, appoint members to the Ridgewood Arts Council, revise Citizen Safety Advisory Committee, appointment of chairperson, revise membership of Financial Advisory Committee, request personal relative disclosure form for elected and appointed officials, appoint representative to Open Space Trust Regional Committee, and appoint village council members as liaisons to various boards and committees. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Hauk?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Pucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Aronson.
Yes.
The last two resolutions will be read in full. Be resolved by the village council of the village of Ridgewood that Mayor Paul Aronson be appointed as a Class 1 regular member of the Planning Board to serve until the end of his term as mayor, which term will expire June 30th, 2016. And be further resolved that Nancy Bigos be appointed as a Class 2 regular member of the Planning Board to serve a one-year term, which will expire June 30th, 2015. And be it further resolved that Councilwoman Susan Knutson be appointed as council representative and a Class 3 regular member of the Planning Board to serve a one-year term, which will expire June 30th, 2015. And be it further resolved that Richard Joel and Kevin Riley be appointed as Class 4 regular members of the Planning Board to serve four-year terms, which will expire June 30th, 2018. And be it further resolved that David Thurston be appointed as a Class 4 regular member of the Planning Board to fill the unexpired term of Morgan Hurley, which will expire June 30th, 2017. And be it further resolved that Isabella Altano be appointed as alternate number 1 member of the Planning Board to serve a two-year term, which will expire June 30th, 2016. And be it further resolved that Kadir Abdallah be appointed as alternate number 2 member of the Planning Board to serve a one-year term, which will expire June 30th, 2015. And be it finally resolved that these appointments be effective at the Planning Board's reorganization meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hauk?
Abstain.
Newton?
Yes.
Pucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Aronson.
Yes.
Okay. The last one. Be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that Alyssa Matthews be appointed as a regular member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a four-year term, which will expire June 30th, 2018. And be it further resolved that Jenny Wilson be appointed as the alternate number 1 member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment to fill the unexpired term of Alyssa Matthews, which term will expire June 30th, 2015. And be it further resolved that Sergio Alegre be appointed as the alternate number 2 member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a 2-year term which will expire June 30th, 2016. And be it finally resolved that these appointments be effective at the Zoning Board of Adjustment's reorganization meeting. May I have a motion?
Move.
Second?
Hauk?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Pucciarelli?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Aronson.
Yes. Thank you. Now we'll go to comments from the public. Anybody have a question, comment? Please step up to the podium.
Good afternoon. Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Congratulations to our 2 newest members. I'm bringing up a matter that predates your time on the council, but it actually involves Councilman Seaton. I have sent emails, and I've been to the microphone twice regarding the anonymous email that was sent to Michael Seaton's employer immediately after he was approved as a candidate for village council. I have implored the council to allocate funds to do whatever was necessary to find out who the anonymous emailer was that sent that to Michael's employer. I think it still continues to be a terrible stain on the village of Ridgewood that our election process was tainted. I mean, obviously he was elected resoundingly, but still, this fallout from this hits our entire community. The last time I brought this up was April 6th. I actually haven't heard anything further back, and I was wondering, have you allocated funds? Have you, tried to get an investigation going into this?
I think Heather and Matt, or Heather, somebody, who spoke to this last time?
Yeah, actually, Mr. Seaton actually filed a complaint with the ELEC, and it was told that was not the proper venue. I know Councilman Ritchie, when he was still on the council, he filed a complaint with the prosecutor's office. I have not, I don't know if Ms. Sonnenfeld has heard anything from that, but I have not heard anything from that complaint that Councilman Ritchie filed.
Well, actually, Councilman Ritchie sent a letter asking for an investigation. I think that's what he sent to Molinelli.
Right. It was a letter of complaint, right? About what happened.
Did you want to say something?
Correct.
So is anything proactive additionally going to happen? Because again, I think our election process was compromised, and I really...
Sure, appreciate that. But according to our village clerk who handles elections and stuff, the proper channels have been contacted in the proper way. So am I correct, Heather?
Well, Councilman Ritchie did file that letter with the prosecutor's office. We've heard nothing from the prosecutor. So, and basically I was told that, the next step would be to go to court if we wanted to go to court or something and try to find something further or some investigatory type of process. So,
I guess, could we follow up with the prosecutor and make just a...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There's simple steps besides going to court. For example, the mayor could contact the editor of the Staten Island Advance. Just call and say, what's with that email and why won't you release it, and can we get the IP address of the sender? I don't think we have to, this, I don't know what all the proper steps are, but this is a very unusual thing that happened, and I think it's, I feel like it's just sort of being dropped, we made an effort, and, thank you, Roberta, for suggesting following up with the prosecutor's office. I don't even know if this is illegal, what happened, but I think it's disgraceful what happened, and we could clear the name. A couple phone calls might be able to find out who did this.
Roberta, why don't we, take your suggestion and reach out to the prosecutor's office?
Yeah, fine.
And possibly the Staten Island Advance, the
I have
editor,
that down.
the person who received it.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
have that down.
Great, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Didn't Mr. Loving open all of our emails? Haven't Loving done some research on their...
I don't understand. I think she asked about the Oprah request that we received, and I think, Dylan, you might have an update on that. You did, right? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Should I address that?
Why don't you?
Sure, please.
Yeah, I don't think we found anything.
Councilwoman Hauk, Boyd did not submit an Oprah request about any emails regarding this matter. I submitted an Oprah request about telephone calls that Dylan addressed, and that was specifically to see if any phone calls had been made from Village Hall central phone system to the Staten Island Advance Inn. Not surprisingly, no call was made from this building. That's the only request that came from my family.
Right, that's right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I actually wanted to make a point as well to Ann. I wanted to say I found it to be so offensive and so disgraceful as well that I support any effort that we can make to get to the bottom of that anonymous email or communication, whatever it was. It really was just terrible and was an attempt to affect the outcome of our election process. And I appreciate you raising it again. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Sir.
Good afternoon. Scott McCann, 450 Linwood Avenue. I wish you well as you start on your next term here. I will repeat what I have said publicly before the planning board, and I will say it again before the council. The price of liberty requires eternal vigilance, and I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and clearly the rule of law is part of that. So I want to thank you, Matt, for being so zealous and so careful in examining the law for us. Without the rule of law, the price of liberty will be cheapened, and it's a good thing, too, on Friday we get to celebrate a civil society where law rules and popular opinion, while sometimes well-motivated and sometimes not, and applause and all that, it doesn't always rule the day. This is a civil society governed by the rule of law, and thank you, Matt. I can't thank you enough for bringing such a reasoned opinion to us. We didn't we didn't predict an outcome. We had no idea what it would be. You gave us an intelligent and reasoned response, and I hope people appreciate that. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Aye. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everybody.
Oh, was I real low? Thanks for the tip. Thank you for the advice. I disappeared. Oh.
Thank you. Hi, Isabel. Congratulations to you. That's exciting. So you'll be there tonight? Your little guy needs it. Now, there's Boyd got a great picture of what he did. He's got a picture of the empty
I'm causing trouble wherever I can. I did mine.
What is the matter with you?
I just think I'm doing my baby. I'm doing a swap for my wife. How do you do that? No interest. Nothing. How much do you do honeydew oil? I'm cutting up particles for it. Something falls, hits the knife, random blade, slices open the fingers. $4.60.